All right, Shalom. First and foremost, before we get started, we're going to give all praise, honor, glory, and worship to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. Yahweh is the true, holy, and powerful name of whom the world calls God. Yahweh Shai is the true, holy, and powerful name of whom the world calls Jesus Christ. Bahashem means in the name, and the Ruach Kodash is the Holy Spirit, which gives us the inspiration to bring out these lessons. And Lord willing, this lesson I'm doing today will be edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. And the nation of Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Seminole, Native American Indians of Negro to Indian descent, according to the seed of the Father. All right, you are the biblical Israelites, excuse me, that were prophesied to go into slavery via slave ships into the daughter of Babylon, mystery Babylon, which is America. And it's here that we will be delivered from our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai, soon come. And this lesson is going to be based on a breakdown for Revelation, the 20th chapter. Okay, so we're going to go into Revelation, the 20th chapter, and I want to do this breakdown, so that brothers and sisters can get the sense, Lord willing. All right, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, teach well, in sound doctrine. Revelation chapter 20, verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Now this pit, the angel, will be our Lord Yahweh Shai. It says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And that great chain represents slavery. Okay, that great chain represents a restriction that the Lord had put on Esau, Edom. Let's go to this word pit. You see the word is a beast. Let me just play it.
Strong's G12 Abusas. Abusas.
Abusas is where you get the word abyss from. It's a pit. It says bottomless, unbounded, the abyss, the pit, unmeasurable depth, abyss, pit. So this pit that it's referring to is Europe. Okay, this pit that this is referring to is Europe, and Europe is called a bottomless pit because it doesn't have resources. Okay, Europe is not a fertile land. It is indeed a pit. Okay. And so when we read it again, it says Revelation 20 and 1, and I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. So let's keep going. And the reason why we know that we can say that this pit, let's go to Second Ezra. The reason why we can say that this pit is a land, and the specific land being Europe, which is a land without resources, a bottomless land. Second Ezra 5. In verse 27, it says, and among all the multitudes of people thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this, let's view the whole chapter so we can get some context. Second Ezra 5, verse 23, it says, and said, O Yahweh that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine. And of all the land, of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit. So that pit is a representation of a land, okay, a specific area of land. It says, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof one lily. These are the Lord's favorite, okay, the favorite of Yahweh Shai Shai. And he has chosen himself one pit out of all the lands, and that pit is the land of Israel. Okay, so let's go back to Revelation 20. Revelation 20 and 1, and we're going to read the verse 2 this time. It says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold on the dragon, which there goes that phrase, lay hold again. Okay. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, excuse me, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Now, this 1,000 years that this angel bound the serpent, which is the devil, okay, which is Esau Edom. All right, because the word devil, let's go to it. The word devil means deceiver, and the word Satan means adversary. It says prone to slander. This is the word devil. Slanderous, accusing falsely, false accuser. Yeah, Esau Edom is known as the accuser of the brother. It says definition 2. It says metaphor applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of the Most High, may be said to act the part of the devil or to side with him. So this is referring to an actual man on the planet Earth. And when you read Revelation, the 2nd chapter and the 10th verse, it tells you that the devil shall cast some of you into prison. So this devil, Diablos, is speaking of a man, and that man is Esau Edom, the nation of Edom, who is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. Okay. And Esau was bound up during a time period that this is 1,000 years that it's referring to, is referring to a time period known as the Dark Ages. Okay, it says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, which is the nation, the Caucasian race, and bound him 1,000 years. And that's why they call it the Dark Ages, because Esau was in subjection. So it says, let me see if I can get some dates. The date is around 323 AD. It is around 323 AD to about the mid to late 1300s. It says, let's see what it give me. It says migration period, also called Dark Ages or early Middle Ages, the early medieval period of Western Europe history, specifically the time from when there was no Roman or Holy Roman Emperor in the West. Yeah, you know, they're going off. The time period is really between about 320 AD to the late 1300s. Okay. That's the period of the Dark Ages. And during this time, you had Israelites ruling all up in Europe. And Esau was bound, okay, because there was a spiritual chain on him where he could not do and succeed as he wanted to. Let's go to Malachi. Because when Esau came out of the Dark Ages, you had a period called Renaissance, which Renaissance means rebirth. This is Malachi 1:3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste, right? Because it's a bottomless pit. Okay. It says, and I laid, which even where he is originally from, Mount Petra, is also a bottomless pit. But the Lord, see, Esau took on Europe as his culture, because he's not from there, but he took that culture on to himself. And that also is a mountain that is laid waste. That is a bottomless pit. Malachi 1:3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished. When were they impoverished? During the Dark Ages and many other times throughout history. But the most recent is during the time of the so-called Dark Ages. All right. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Yeah, that's during a period called Renaissance, okay, which is known as which means rebirth. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh have indignation forever. So Esau Edom, he had it in his mind, because the Lord put it in his spirit to know that, well, once they come out of these Dark Ages, they're gonna build the desolate places. They're going to conquer again. It says, and bound him 1,000 years, which is roughly, like I said, 300 AD to mid to late 1300s AD. We're during the Renaissance. Matter of fact, let me see when the see what it says. Renaissance period began. Yeah, Renaissance period began in the 1300s. Okay, and Jake was up in Rome up until the early what's that, the second century, which is the 300 AD, I should say. So from 300 AD to 1300s, Esau was bound up for that 1,000-year period. Salakia. I don't know what happened, Salakia. Saying. I think I accidentally pushed it. All right, Revelation chapter 20, verse 2. It says, and laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is Esau Edom, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, which is that period known as the Dark Ages, up until the Renaissance period, when Esau returned to build the desolate places, the rebirth period, when he did what we're about to read here. Verse 3 says, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So Esau was bound up for those 1,000 years, that he should not deceive the nations. Because during a period called Renaissance, you also had a period called iconoclasm. And these things, iconoclasm, Renaissance, was all to deceive. And once he came out of those caves, once that chain was taken off of him, he rose up to deceive. It says iconoclasm. Matter of fact, let's look at the etymology of these words, because Google ain't gonna do nothing. Iconoclasm, which icon means image and clasm means destroy. So iconoclasm means the destruction of the images of who? The Israelites, the Most High Yahweh, his son Yahweh Shai. All right, just the regular Israelites are priests. Okay, the angels. Esau painted over these images, okay, and made them look like him. Let's go to First Maccabees. And this is how he deceived the nations. First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48. It says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So Esau painted the likeness of his images over the images that were painted throughout Judea, Jerusalem, Galilee, Russia, Turkey, Asia Minor, Asia Major. Esau painted over these images to do what? To deceive the nations, to begin the deception. Because again, the word devil means deceiver. Excuse me. Let's get one more in Job 9 and 24. Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So if Esau Edom is not the wicked, then who is the wicked and where the heck is he? It has to be Esau, because he covered the faces of the judges being the Israelites. Now you see here, let's go to this word iconoclasm. For some reason, I can't click it. Okay, so it says 1797, in reference to an act of breaking or destroying idols physically, figuratively from 1858, in reference to beliefs, cherished institutions. So icon, once again, means image, and klasm means to destroy. That's why I said breaking or destroying idols. Now let's go to iconoclast. It says breaker or destroyer of images. You see, which that's the root word of iconoclasm. So you had a period in time known as the Renaissance or iconoclasm, where Esau was loosed from his prison, which is the bottomless pit of Europe, and he rose up to conquer and deceive the nations by way of the sword, because that was his blessing. It says the breaker or destroyer of images, 1590s, from French iconoclaste, and directly from medieval Latin, iconoclastes, from the late Greek iconoclastes, from icon, genitive image, right? So icon means image. It says, and class means breaker, or to break, or to destroy. So during this period, they laid open the book of the law and sought to paint the likeness of their images over the images of the Israelites, to cover the faces of the judges thereof, in order to deceive the nation. And now the nations have indeed been deceived, because the average person doesn't know that the Israelites are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The average person doesn't know what our Lord looks like. The average person doesn't know these things. And that goes into, let me go back to Revelation 20 and 3 real quick before I get this precept. Revelation 20 and 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him. Because during this time period, during this 1,000-year period, there was nothing that Esau could do, okay, to free from the affliction and bondage that the Lord had put him under during this time. It says that he should deceive the nations no more, showing you that once he got out of these chains, he was going to deceive the nations. It says till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. And we're living in this time right now when Esau is loosed, because now he's in the time where he's not bound up into that bottomless pit of Europe, but he has spread across the whole, like a Green Bay tree, you know. Let's get that. It says Psalms 37 and 35, I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a Green Bay tree. So now Esau has spread himself across the whole entire planet Earth in great power. Okay, so he's not bound up anymore. Okay, he's been loose for this little season. And in order to understand this timeline, we have to go from Revelation 20 and 3, and we have to jump to verse 7. Okay, because verse 4, 5, and 6 are dealing with another time period. Okay, because you have to remember that the Bible, it jumps around. It's not read like a normal book. It's not in chronological order. So what we're going to do, we're going to read Revelation 20 and 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, showing you that once the 1,000 years were fulfilled, he will be loose to deceive the nations, i.e. Renaissance period, iconoclasm. Okay. Even you have things called nationalism, you know, where Esau has created all these various nations with all these different flags to confuse people. And this is called a covering cast. All right. And this is a form of deception. And that's the job of the devil, to deceive. This is Isaiah chapter 26, verse 7. It says, and he will destroy in this mountain. The mountain represents major governments. So the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai will destroy in this mountain, which is America, okay, the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. So the Lord has, by way of the devil, Esau Edom, which is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, has set a veil over the minds of the people. Okay, he set a covering cast over the minds of the people, so that they don't know who they are. Okay, and no one knows who the true people of Yahweh are. And this is the Most High Yahweh is doing. Isaiah 60 and 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, which wickedness is darkness. So if Satan has been loose for a little season to deceive the nations, wickedness is the dominant presence in the earth. Darkness is the dominant presence in the earth. It says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, but Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, upon the Israelites, the elect of the nation of Israel that are chosen to wake up here in these last days. So when it says that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, we're living in that period after the 1,000 years. And in order to understand verse 3 and the time and the things that happen after it, you have to jump to verse 7. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, So now this is picking back up where it left off in verse 3 here. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to the battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So now Esau has been loosed for this season, and he has been loosed to deceive the nations. Okay, he has been loosed to deceive the nation, and he is deceiving the nations because let's go to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. Bear with me. Just to show you how Esau has deceived the nations. What is it? Oh, man. Okay, 2 Corinthians 4:4. I don't know why I didn't see that. It says, in whom the God of this world, okay, who's the God of this world? Esau, Edom. Okay, and his idols, Jesus Christ. It says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, least the light of the glorious gospel of Yahweh Shai, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine unto them. So Esau has indeed deceived the nations. Okay, and he has blinded the minds of those that believe not. It says in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, that's also what I was thinking about. And Esau does such a good job with this deception that if the Lord didn't have a remnant, then everyone would be deceived, because that's how strong these vibrations are that are out here. This is Matthew 24, verse 24. For there shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, right? Like Esau and his, just his technology alone, those are great signs and wonders because these are heavenly things. Electricity and cell phones and internet, these things come from the heavens. So these are great signs and wonders so that people will put their trust and their confidence in this man and in his system. St. Matthew 24:24, for there shall arise false anointeds and false prophets and show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But it's impossible to deceive the elect because the Lord has chosen them. But if it was possible, they would deceive the elect. So when you go to Revelation 20:7, it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, which the 1,000 years we spoke about from 300 AD to 1300 AD during a period in time called the Dark Ages, where you had so-called Negroes ruling in Europe. Okay, it says, and Esau was bound up during that time. And it says, when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. So he was going to have access to the whole earth, pursuant to Job 9:24. Okay, matter of fact, let's read that again, because it says to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth. So that's exactly what Job 9:24 says. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. So Esau was given the whole entire planet earth, and throughout the whole entire planet earth, he covered the faces of the judges. Okay, he deceived the nations. It says, if not, where and who is he? It says, Gog, reading on, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, which Gog and Magog is representative of Russia. Okay, because Russia dwells in the land of Gog and Magog, and Russia is going to play a major part in World War III, showing you that after Esau deceives the world, World War III is going to pop off, which that war is called the War of Armageddon. Armageddon, which means Armageddon in the English, which is Armageddon in the English, which means mountain of troops. Revelation 16:16, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon or Armageddon. So this is the war that Russia, America, and these various nations are going to be gathered together to fight in. Let's go to Joel 3. Joel 3 in verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. Gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, which is the Middle East. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And that's what we're reading. Okay, that's where the great war of Armageddon, World War III, is going to be fought down in that valley. Okay, and it's coming soon because we're exiting that period of the deception because the truth is being made manifest. All right, so before we finish this out down here, we're going to go back up to verse 4 because I just wanted to show that from verse 3, in order to, if you want to stay in chronological order from verse 3, you have to jump to verse 7. It says, Revelation 20:4, and I saw thrones, and they sat up upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai. So you're going to have the elect that are going to sit on thrones, okay, because they were witnesses of Yahweh Shai, meaning they died martyrs. It says, and for the word of Yahweh, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years. So there's it says, and I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. So those thrones, so those thrones, you're gonna have the disciples and the elect gonna sit on those thrones. Matthew 19 and verse 28, and Yahweh Shai said, let's start at 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahweh Shai said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Right. So the elect are going to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. Let's go to Romans 8, verse 17. And if children, then heirs, heirs of the Most High, and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So the elect are going to sit on thrones with Yahweh Shai, judging the 12 tribes of Israel because they endured into the end. It says in Psalms 116, and Psalms 115, Psalms 115, verse 15. No, Salakia. Psalms 116, verse 15. It says, precious in the sight of Yahweh is the death of his saints. So the death of the martyrs of Yahweh Shai, which martyr means to die for the testimony of Yahweh Shai, you know, to keep the testimony of Yahweh Shai even unto death. So that's why it says, I'm going to go back and read it, but let me read this first, Psalms 122, verse 5. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. So the house of David, which is the elect, those are the ones that are going to be sitting on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. Judgment is going to be given unto them. Revelation 20:4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai. Right. Because some men are going to have to, we're going to have to die for this if it's in our lot. Let's go to Revelation 12 and Revelation 12 and 11. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, which the Lamb is Yahweh Shai, and by the word of their testimony, and they love not their lives unto the death. So the elect men, if they're faced with that proposition, if they're faced with that ultimatum, they're not going to hesitate to hate their life even unto death. It says Revelation 20:4, halfway down, it says, and the word, it says, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushai and for the word of the Most High, which had not worshipped the beast, which is this man's system, neither his image, which are the philosophies of this man's system, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. So they're not going to take the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. Okay. And they're going to trust in Yahweh Shemiel Shah that he will feed them. You know, he will provide for them. And they're not going to put their hands to worship this man's system and be a part and participate in this man's system. Revelation 20:5. But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. So the first resurrection is the deliverance. Okay, when it says but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished, that's speaking on how these nations, after 1,000 years, they will get to go back to their own lands, okay, and be amongst their own people, but still have to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the nation of Israel. So it says, but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. Again, that's speaking about these other nations. After 1,000 years of serving bondage, they're going to get to go back to their respective lands, and they're going to be governed over by the children of Israel, but they're going to be amongst their own people, and they're going to be able to, they're not going to be in slavery. Daniel 7:12 is a precept. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had, let's start at verse 11, Daniel 7:11. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even to the beast was slain and his body destroyed. Mr. Beast, the first, second, third, and fourth beast are all here today, which is a conglomerate of these various nations. Okay, it says, I beheld even to the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame, which is that destruction that Yahweh Shemiel Shah is coming with to put these nations down. Verse 12, as concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. So that's their lives being prolonged. Okay, they're going to actually get to go back to their lands, and govern amongst themselves, but still under the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemiel Shah. Zechariah 14 and verse 16, and it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So they're going to be able to, govern amongst themselves, but they still have to keep the commandments of Yahweh Shemiel Shah. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. So if they don't want to come and worship Yahweh Shemiel Shah, then the Lord is going to cause a famine was going to bring forth a famine in their land. He's not going to cause it to rain. Okay, so they're gonna be willing to participate, all right, and to keep the commandments of Yahweh Shemiel Shah, because nobody wants to starve. Revelation 20:5. But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished, which is these other nations, all right, getting a portion of their life back. It says this is the first resurrection. The first resurrection being the 1,000 years where the elect reign with Yahweh Shah. It says, blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection, which are the elect. On such the second death hath no power, which is the second death being the nuclear missiles. Okay, then the lake of fire. It says, but they shall be priests of the Most High and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Right, that's in Revelation chapter 5 and 10. Oh, the elect are going to reign on the earth. Revelation 5 and 10. It says, and has made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So the Lord's elect are going to reign on the planet earth. Okay. And that's the first resurrection. It says, verse 6, hey, don't ask me what's going to happen after, what's going to happen after the 1,000 years, what's it going, I don't know. The 1,000 could mean, it could literally mean forever. It could mean literally 1,000, and then another chapter in the creation. We don't know. We trying to get up out of here, which really is everlasting because of the other precepts, But Jake be trying to think too deep, It's really everlasting. Scripture say that we saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever, But as far as us reigning on the earth for the first 1,000 years and then reigning somewhere else, that remains to be seen. We believe, according to faith and according to the scriptures, that we're going to have access to the other planets as well. Revelation 12:20-6, it says, "Blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power, but they shall be priests of Yahweh and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years." Right? We are a holy nation, a royal priesthood, pursuant to 1 Peter 2:9. It says now back in Revelation 2:20-7, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth," which we've been living in that time. And now we're moving into the time of World War III. It says Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, because Russia is going to bring out damn near the whole entire military to fight in this war. Okay? Because it's going to be a major war between Gog and Magog and Babylon the Great. You could also read about that in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. It says Revelation 20:9, "And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about, which and the beloved city," which that's Israel. Okay, the land of Israel. They're not gonna. This is speaking about Russia coming against the land of Israel, because the camp of the saints is the land of Israel. The holy city is Jerusalem. So Russia is going to come against Israel. They're going to destroy Israel. Okay, Israel is going to be destroyed off the face of the earth. That's why it says in Ezekiel 36. Let's prove that. Ezekiel 36, in verse 5, it says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord, power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their hearts and despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel," right? Concerning the land of Israel, "and say unto the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame." So the Lord is going to destroy the land of Israel because they took it into their possession. He's going to destroy those heathen that took it into their possession with the joy of hearts and despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. It says they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints and the beloved city. So Russia is going to come up against Israel, and fire came down from the Most High out of heaven and devoured them, which is that destruction, as well as the fire from the chariots. Habakkuk 3. Let's go to Habakkuk 3. Speaks about in Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, the right aiming thunderbolts. Habakkuk 3 and verse 4 says, and his brightness was as the light. Let's start at 3. It said, "The Most High came from Teman, and the Holy One from the Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise." And the glory of the Most High is speaking on the chariots of the Most High. And the earth was full of his praise, because it says in Habakkuk, I think it's the 1st chapter, that the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the Lord. Okay. Shalom. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahushua Bashem Rakakadash. Barakatah. Shalom. It says, where was I? It says, and his brightness was as the light, and he had horns coming out of his hands. Okay, and there was in the hiding of his power. Now the horns coming out of his hands, that's also in the book of Micah. What's that, the 4th chapter? That the Lord shall make thy hooves iron and thy horns brass. Or I'm roughly paraphrasing, I'm probably butchering it. But when you go to this word horn in the Hebrew, it's Quran, which means basically rays of light. lasers, you know, concentrated heat. It says horn, horn of strength, flash, horn, horn of rays of light. Okay, so these are the rays of light coming from the chariots that the Lord is gonna use in combination with the nuclear missiles to destroy these nations and America, Babylon the Great. It says, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth, and he beheld and drove asunder the nations. Right, the Lord's coming forth to conquering and to conquer. It says he drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. The everlasting mountains are these major governments, and the perpetual hills are these minor governments. Okay, and the Lord's ways are everlasting, because it said that the kingdom shall be given to the people of Israel and shall not be left to other people. Excuse me, man. I don't know what's up with my allergies or something. Just start acting up when I do this lesson. But it says that the kingdom shall not be left to other people, right? But it shall consume and break in pieces all the kingdoms round about. Revelation 20:9, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp. Excuse me, Salakia. Compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, which is the land of Israel, when these nations wage war. Russia and their allies wage war against Israel and America. It says, and fire came down from the Most High out of heaven and devoured them. Salakia. And the devil, man, that's Satan, man. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, which is Esau, Edom, and his sister, where the beast and the false prophet are, which is his the beast being NATO and the EU, and the false prophet being the Roman Catholic Church. It says, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever, meaning the fire and the destruction. The fire is going to burn for a very long time, and the destruction is going to always going to be remembered. Salaki, I gotta get some tissue. Salaki. I don't know what that was about. Where that came from. I was just saying. Revelation 20 and 10. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, which is Yahweh, pursuant to Daniel 7:9, whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. Let's read it again. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, because there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth that's established on the planet Earth. Same earth, pursuant to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4. Same earth, but it's going to be refreshed. It's going to be renewed in righteousness. Brother got a scripture. Revelation 16:13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole earth, to gather them to the battle of the great day of power Almighty. Slakia. Yeah, Khan. Yeah, Khan. Going further into that destruction. It says 2 Peter chapter 3, the water, verse 10. I'm gonna go straight to the point. Verse 12, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of Yahweh, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. So that's our hope, desire, and goal, is to live to see that new heaven and that new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. The first heaven is going to pass away. Okay. The earth is going to be here forever, but the rulership upon it is going to change. It's going to switch. It says, and I saw a great white throne and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, because it's going to be destroyed. And there was found no place for them. Right. When you go to Revelation chapter 12. Revelation 12 and 7, it says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, dealing with when this devil actually tries to fight against Yahweh Shai. Verse 8, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. So they're not going to prevail, and they're going to be eliminated out of the upper atmosphere, and also their rulership is going to be eliminated. So their place is no more going to be found in heaven. These other nations are not, they ain't going to rule, man. It's a wrap. Once Yahweh Shai gets back, it's going to be a wrap for any and all other authority. That's also in 2 Corinthians 15 chapter, 24 verse. It's like in 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 24. It says, then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to the Most High, which the kingdom is the men of Israel. It says, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and all power. For he must reign till he have put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And Esau Edom is as death. Okay. As it says in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. So let's go back. So like it. Revelation 20 and 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Yahweh, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. Right, because upon the arrival of Yahweh Shai, all flesh, all spirits, I should say, are going to be judged. Okay. It says, in the spirits that, did not get right, they're going to have to feel the fire. And those that are the elect will be delivered. Even it says in 1 Thessalonians 4 and 17, those that are alive will not prevent those that are asleep. It says Revelation 20 and 12, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Yahweh, and the books were open, which means that the prophecies, the judgments written within the prophecies will be taking place. Okay. The things that we're reading about right here, as far as the lake of fire and the World War III, these things are going to take place. They're going to happen. The books will be open. It says, and another book was open, which is the book of life, which is this Bible also, and the book and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. So everybody's going to be judged according to their works, whether it be good or whether it be evil. It says, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it. So, everybody, all the dead, no matter where it's at, even in the ocean, it says, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. So even, people that, just recently died, all flesh in the graves, everyone is going to be raised up to be judged. Okay. If I don't want to Zah, we live to see these things. It says, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, the 10th verse, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Hamashiach, where every man must receive the things done in their body, whether it be good or evil. It says, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. The lake of fire is the second death. Okay. And death and hell, Esau, Edom, his power structure, it's all going to be cast into the lake of fire. Even death for the Israelites, the elect of Israel, that's all going to be cast into the lake of fire. It's all going to be done away with for Israel. It says this is the second death, the first death being the great flood. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So if you're not of the elect, the 144,000 or the 1/3, you're gonna suffer these plagues. Okay, you're gonna suffer these plagues. Zechariah 14, verse 12. That's why we do all things for the elect's sake. Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua will smite all the people that are fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Meaning they're going to melt. The Lord's going to melt them. Anybody that's not of the elect, anybody that's not of the elect is going to have to suffer the consequences and feel that eternal fire. And the elect are going to scarcely be saved. So those that are not of the elect, they shall not escape. Okay, they shall not escape. So read the last verse again, and then we'll close out. And I don't want to Tazah. This is edifying. Revelation chapter 20, verse 15. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire, which the lake of fire again is the nuclear destruction. Okay. The immeasurable amount of fire that's going to come from these immeasurable amount of missiles. Okay. That's the lake of fire. And when the elect are in those chariots, the so-called UFOs looking down on the planet Earth, it's going to be so much fire that it's going to look like a lake bubbling. Okay. And those that are going to be caught up in that and melting in that and what does it say? Gnashing of teeth, there was a groaning and gnashing of teeth, like roughly paraphrasing. Those are all the ones that are not of the elect, that fought against this word, that fought against this doctrine, that refused to turn back, that have always refused to turn back to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So I just wanted to put this breakdown out here, Lord, when it was edifying. I want to say, call Elohim La, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who still rule well. Peace to the elect and the nation of Israel. Salakia for my my allergies. But Lord, when this is edifying. All right, Brother Yaquam, Kum Yashrala. Shalom.